Your outburst might cost you more than what you actually win. And that is why you want to keep your emotions in check. That's why you want to keep that poker face on. Is this an elegant cup? No. It's a very big cup. Look, not cute, but so heavy. Here it says, "You are my queen." Of course, facing me, the drinker, because I am the queen. Only the queen drinks of this cup. And that is me, queen of all the emotions. I hope that went look good. This is what it's gonna be, you know. It's not about my face, it's about what I can give to you. So it is of course my face, but let's face it, I have purple hair today. You do not need to look at me today. They promise it will go away. I trust them. They are professionals. Let's get to it. Hello lovely ladies and welcome to Living Free with Sophie. I'm Sophie and on my channel we talk about anything and everything related to femininity, happiness and transformation. And today I got a very juicy, fiery topic for you guys today, and it is emotional control. So I'm gonna talk about why emotional control is super important for feminine women, and I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing to stay in control and master my emotions and my reaction to them in a way so they actually benefit me and my life and the goals I have for myself. If that sounds interesting to you, then keep watching. So first I want to talk a little bit about emotional control, a little bit about what it is, why it's important, and why it is especially important for feminine women and to their relationships. So for me, emotional control is made out of two things. What is going on inside you of your emotions and what you choose to let people see of your emotions. And why is this important to have control over these two areas in your life? It's important because if you show some people your emotions, it might not be beneficial for you to do so. For example, if someone is trying to hurt you or offend you or anything like that, and you start to cry or you become really angry, you show them, yes, this is the right way to hurt me. If you want to hurt me in the future, just do what you just did. That's not what you want. You want to keep your cards close into your body. The other thing is that with emotional control, sometimes your emotions are not correct. And ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you'll learn after a situation that you did not know all the facts of that situation, and if you had known, you would not have reacted to that way. It's really not beneficial to just react because it can have consequences that you're in your very emotional state do not have the mental capacity to actually think about how your emotional outburst will affect your life further on, affect this relationship, affect yourself even. You might come to regret it later. That's why it's super important with emotional control for you personally. And then also emotional control in your relationship as a feminine woman, it's super important. Because I would argue that the emotional state of the relationship or of the home and of your family, it is the woman's responsibility. And why is it the woman's responsibility? It is the woman's responsibility to take care of everybody's emotions, including her own, because she is more equipped to do so. Women are made with more receptors for apprehending emotions. They can discern from a baby crying one way or crying a slightly different way what the baby actually needs. It's just in our biology to have an easier time tuning in on other people's emotions. And I'm sure you notice this, your girlfriends, they will understand you right away. Even if you don't say things directly, they will pick up on what you actually mean. Compared to the men in your life, they will take you more literally. And for some women, that's something they need to practice on as well. But it's super important to stay emotionally stable and in control. Because, you know, sometimes you can have very illogical feelings, and just reacting on them is not helpful. It can be hurtful for the other person. It's just not something you want to do. And I'm gonna share with you some examples of my emotional control situations that I've been working on the last couple of days, some other experience. I'll give you a lot of examples on how to deal with your emotions in a way where you are in control of them, where you are mastering your emotions to your benefit. I think this video might gonna be a little bit long, so get your laundry, go wash your dishes, you know, start cooking, and you can listen to this while you do some chores or go for a walk or something else. Back to women's responsibility of emotions in the home. You know the saying that there is happy wife, happy life, and many men, some of their goals in life is to make their woman happy, but it is not the man's responsibility to make you happy. That is your own responsibility. So this video is also to argue a little bit against the thing we have going on in society now, where you should be able to express yourself and how you are feeling at any cost, and just tell people, this was my truth. I understood the situation this way, and therefore you have to accommodate me. No, 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 no. And you might argue that it would be harder for women to gain emotional control because we have so much more emotions and we do have a lot of hormones, and the balance there is more sensitive than for men, I would argue. So why is this women's responsibility? Shouldn't man be the stable one? And yes, of course he should be, and he is. But your man, he will have down days as well, days where he is stressed out. And that's where you need to step up in your role as the one who has the emotional responsibility for your family. Another way you can see that this is true, it is that you have this thing about crazy woman. Oh, that woman, she was crazy and stuff like that, because that is how men will perceive you. If you freak out over your emotions, they will perceive you as being crazy. It's kind of the equivalent to a woman seeing a lazy man. A man who doesn't want to do any work, who doesn't lift his share for the family, he's lazy, it's unattractive. It's the same way that men see women who do not have their emotional control mastered. It's unattractive, you look crazy, you look unstable. I would argue that one of the reasons why this is unattractive, it is because it gives a sign that you would not be a good mother. Because kids, they're gonna make you so annoyed, they might make a movement and hit you in the face, or don't want to go to bed for hours, and you cannot react to that. You're gonna feel tired, you're gonna feel frustrated with a child, but you cannot react to that because it's just a child. It's not their fault, or they just don't know how to control their emotions yet, or they just want something different than what you're deciding for them. So for you to show in your relationship that you lack emotional control with your loved ones, it's unattractive because it's a sign or like an indicator. I'm not saying you would be that way with your children, but that's what it looks like. It looks like you cannot control yourself around other people, you cannot control your emotions. So how are you gonna be able to take care of a child? Because I'm sure they will get on your nerves even though you love them. So you gotta build up them nerves to not let it get to you. And the other thing is that it's just super annoying. It is extremely annoying for other people to deal with you when you do not have emotional control, because you will be extremely irrational. I'm talking straight to you now. So I think we got it settled why it is so important to master your emotions, especially for women, because so much more of your life, and when people depend on you and when they count on you, it's based on your ability to control your emotions. Now I'm going to get into the fundamentals of how to get into the mindset of starting to control your emotions. And I will tell you what I personally do to deal with my emotions and to stay in control over my emotions. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist. I'm sharing with you what actually works for me. The number one thing that I want you to realize in regards to controlling your emotion, it is that emotions are just emotions. They are not the truth. They are not logical, as we already talked about a little bit. Emotions are just emotions. Someone jumps out, boo! Oh, you get scared, but you see it's your friend, and okay, it's good. You don't stay scared and then run away screaming, boogeyman! You re-evaluate your emotions. Your first reaction emotion, it might be based on something which isn't actually the way the thing is. It might be based on the way you perceive it or based on the way you wish it would be, but it isn't. So now you're sad, even though the other option is also a completely fine option or situation for you. So one of the things you can do to check if your emotion is on the spot or if your emotion is kind of wrong, it is to feel if the emotion feels logical. It's kind of like you have your brain telling you one thing and your emotion telling you another thing. If your brain and your emotion don't align, then something is going on that you don't know about, and therefore you shouldn't react to it. If your brain and emotion are more aligned, you should be aware that you are probably right about what you're feeling, but I will still say it is not in your best interest to always show your emotion, especially not the negative ones. I'm not saying you should not feel your emotions or hide them away. I'm talking about what you choose to show other people. You need to have that poker face. And the feminine poker face? It's like, okay, I feel sorry for you, but I'm not gonna tell you. You need to stay in control of what you're showing the world. So this is the thing, they need to be aligned. If you have an emotion that, oh my God, this cannot be true. What is going on here? Like you see a sign of something completely, like you're shocked, you're sad, what is going on? How could this happen? I don't understand. If your brain is really telling you those things, I don't understand, how could this happen? You need to step back, you need to breathe, you need to relax a little bit more, because it's very likely that your brain is right about some part of it, that something is going on which you are not able to see at the current moment. For example, one thing could be if you're expecting someone to come visit you, you agreed on a time, and they don't come at that time. You could start to get a little scared, a little nervous for them. Did something happen? All these kind of feelings. But logically, there is a ton of explanation of why they are a little bit late. It could be that they are a little bit stuck in traffic, for example. It could be that they forgot something and had to drive back. It could be that they are making a surprise, going through the store and getting something for you. There are many reasons why the thing you might fear is going on is actually not going on. And therefore, you should not react on that fear, because it could be harmful, especially if you think that that person is late because they actually don't want to spend time with you, and you're gonna send them a message, oh, you're so disrespectful, you don't come on time, you don't tell me you're not coming on time, I am so nervous, we really expected you, I can't trust you, like you blow it up to this big thing. But maybe they were running late because they wanted to grab something nice for you. Or maybe they had some gifts for you that they needed to wrap. They might had a reason where they could choose between option A, being there exactly at the time, option B, bringing you / giving to you something that would be nice to you. And maybe they say, oh, this one is nicer to have extra than me being there on time. It could be the case. Or maybe something just happened, or they spilled coffee all over themselves and got burned from all the hot coffee and needed to change their clothes. Are you gonna be mad at them for that reason? No, just relax, take a chill. There might be an explanation that you don't know about. right? Or maybe that person just has really bad time management skills, and in that case you should feel a little sorry for them. Or maybe you can express next time you're meeting up that I really want you to be there on time. Give your explanation a little bit more, shame them a little bit for being late if they're just bad with time management. Deal with it as an adult. This brings me a little bit into the next thing that you should do. Besides understanding emotions are just emotions, they are not always logical, and you should, don't react like this. You should keep your head clear. You should think about the situation a little bit. What is really going on? Are they actually doing something wrong? Or is it just your need for something that is not being met? Or is it just a want for you that you would just have wanted the situation to be different, but it isn't? So after you have done that, the next step is to use your understanding and sympathy skills, or empathy skills, I think it's called. So what you want to do is you want to try to understand that person, try to understand what are they going through, why are they acting this way. Because if people act a certain way which is completely disproportionate to the situation, and they have a big freak out over something small, it's very likely because they had a bad day. It's really not something you should take personal. So therefore, you really need to bring in your understanding skills, your empathy skills, and really try to understand what is going on for that person. Why did they act this way that I didn't really like that much? That's the one thing you can do, try to understand them, but you should also try to understand yourself. Understand yourself, why am I reacting so much to this little thing? Why is this a little thing so annoying to me? What is going on with me so that this a little thing can affect me so much? Because ladies, you're probably watching this video because you get annoyed about small stuff, and then you get annoyed about how you got annoyed about the small stuff. If you have a good reason to be emotional, you don't feel bad or wrong or regret that you were emotional because you had a good reason for it. It's more when you don't have a good reason for it. And that's really something you need to investigate within yourself. You have to think about it. Why am I reacting this way? How come this influenced me so much? Why was it so triggering for me that this happened? That is some question that you need to ask yourself. Didn't you sleep enough? Do you need more free time to relax? Like, what is going on in your life that makes you unable to control your emotions? And I would say one of the things that you should look into when you look into that, except from the inner work and maybe some stuff in your past which trigger you, or something that you need to work on in that way, something that's also really important to help you gain emotional control, that is your health. That is your health. Especially as women, our hormonal balance is very sensitive. So slight differences in the hormonal balance, it really can affect you a lot. So what you want to do for keeping your health good, it is you want to definitely sleep enough, you want to drink enough, you want to get enough of your salt, you want to get enough of good fats, and good fats are from animals, ladies. And you need fat for your hormones, and you need lots of good proteins. And you should limit carbs, you should limit sugar. I personally feel the best on the carnivore diet. I will say I'm 95% carnivore, and I found out that the IUD that I had in, it was the copper IUD, which supposedly shouldn't affect you at all. It can lead to overload of copper toxicity. It builds up and it affects the chemistry in your brain, so that you're not as happy as you used to be, you're not very motivated. When I found that out, I went to the doctor, I got it taken out. Now I'm using zinc to rebalance the receptors in my brain and to bind with the extra copper. It's a long process. You also need some for the liver, but that might be something you want to look into, because birth control can really seriously mess with you. It makes your body think that it's pregnant. And what a pregnant woman known for? having crazy moods, crazy hormones because they are pregnant. So it might be the case that your birth control is making your body believe it's already pregnant and you're having crazy pregnant hormones all the time. And pregnancy hormones are hormones that are like this. I'm gonna look for all possible dangerous things. Nothing shall hurt my baby. If I see a snake or anything hurtful, I will freak out and kill it. So when someone that you deeply love does something a little bit reckless or a little bit annoying or anything by accident, your hormones will be like this, detecting danger, and you will cut them down. You know what I'm talking about. That's not a good look. That's not something you want to do. You want to do better, but it can be really hard if your hormones are working against you or if you are sleep deprived. So that are some things that you need to take responsibility for. Also, working out definitely helps as well. Yes, so those were some of the important things to help you gain more emotional control about yourself. The list is going on. These are the steps so far. You have the fundamental belief emotions are just emotions. They are not always right. You need to have a match both with your heart, stomach, and brain for what is going on. And even though you might still not want to react, you want to keep your poker face. The next step is to employ sympathy, understanding, and empathy, or like sympathetic understanding and empathy. And that is toward the person who is triggering you or trigger your emotional situation. And it is also towards yourself. You need to investigate what is going on. Why are they behaving this way? Why am I reacting this way? Could some understanding of the situation help me to not feel so affected by it? If you can say, oh, I'm so annoyed, it's just because I'm tired, then you don't have to react that way. The third step, the third layer of the emotional control cake, the third layer is acceptance of other people. You have to accept that other people are the way they are, and that's okay. That's not a problem to you, that they don't do things the way you do things. Accept that people are different. They might be slow at something where you are fast. They might not think about small things that you think about. And you know what? There's probably some things going the other direction as well, where you are not as smart in some areas that they are. And you should not freak out over this. You should not rub their faces in it. I've talked about it earlier. Stop criticizing other people. Stop trying to improve other people. Just accept that that person is the way they are. One thing is, of course, if they just have a manner of being which you find a little silly or annoying or not your cup of tea, you know, people are different. Try to look in ways where you can appreciate that. That's one thing. A different thing is where their behavior is mean. You know, if they are just the type of person who loves to criticize you all the time or make fun of you, you can point it out, but if they don't actually change, you have to do your best to stand firm that you're not going to spend your time with people who are like this. Also, people who are very negative, it might not be the people you want to be around. If you share something that happened for you or something personal, something a little difficult, you want to feel safe that the other person is there to listen to you, is there to maybe in a kind way help you see things from a different angle, you know, somewhere where you can talk it through. You don't want it to be with a person that's gonna knock you even more down when they see their opening. That's crazy. Then you want to keep in check. You might want a relationship with them, but not on those terms. So you're going to stay firm, not share with them, stick to your true self, be honest to yourself, be good to yourself, and shield yourself a little bit from these type of people. But otherwise, try to be as accepting as you can be. If you cannot accept the behavior, and you have to have like a legitimate reason not to accept it. If the person is just not your type of person, that's not a reasonable excuse to tell them to change or something like that. But if the person has some behaviors which are actually mean behaviors, you do not have to accept that, of course. You can let them know to see if they will change, but if they will not change, it's not your job to change them. You just have to accept, okay, this is the situation. I wish we could have a better relationship, but since you're not willing to change on this very reasonable request, that's just not gonna happen. And you have to feel okay with that. Okay, ladies. We had the 3 layers. Emotions are just emotions. Sympathetic understanding and empathy. Accepting people for being different. Now we are getting to the top layers of the emotional cake. The 4th layers that you need to work on is your inner happiness. And your inner happiness, it is your job. That means you have to do things which makes you happy. You have to be the one tending to your emotions. You have to fill your life with things that you actually like doing, things you like experience, and people you like being with. You have to realize, you have to think about how lovely your life is and all the great things about your life. And the best way to do this is with being grateful. It is practicing gratitude. Write it down, think about it at lunch, try to implement it as often as possible throughout your day. Just 5 things to be grateful for right then and there, or every other hour. Find 1 or 2 things to be grateful for when you start your day. Write 5 things you're grateful for and why. Really focus on the good things you have in life and you'll be much more happy. And there are also a few other things you can do to work on your inner happiness, and for that I'm gonna bring out my favorite book. This is Fascinating Womanhood, and it is amazing. It really helped me to not be so selfish in my relationship and to employ sympathetic understanding. And I'm gonna give you an example after I'm done with the tips on something that I'm going through at the moment, where I'm actually been using a lot of emotional control. I'm gonna read a little bit for you from the chapter of Inner Happiness in Fascinating Womanhood. I'm just gonna take some snippets of it and we're gonna talk from there. So it goes like this. What causes unhappiness? It arises from a failure within the individual, weakness of character, sin, failure to fulfill responsibility, or self-centeredness. That was my one, self-centeredness, in some cases. We are unhappy when we are doing something wrong, failing to do something right, or in some ways breaking the eternal laws of life. We become happy by overcoming our weaknesses, performing our duties, losing our self-centeredness, and putting ourselves in harmony with eternal laws. Dedication to high goals brings struggles and opposition. But with it comes a newfound joy, not only the joy of achievement, but the joy of a newfound strength, a strength gained from conflict and experience. And then she gives 7 points on how to find inner happiness. And these are: fulfill domestic role. And you can say it in a modern way. This book is from 1967. You can say it in a modern way when she say fulfill domestic role, it is of course fulfilling the domestic role, but you can also see it a bit more broadly as fulfilling the role of the feminine, of the woman, and living in your femininity. So that is what makes you feel the most possible feminine that you can. For me, it would definitely be to take care of my home and my family and the people I love first, and then other things would come second. That is how I see this fulfilling the domestic role. Here it is of course meant a bit more literally about your home, having your home environment, your loved ones in order and taking care of them. Second one is develop character, and she has some notes on that as well. Then it is to give service, give to somebody else, help someone out. It also makes you forget a little bit about yourself. It makes you see, well, I'm actually pretty good. I'm in a state where I can actually help others, so my life really isn't that bad. Fourth is to do creative work, There's also a great one to lose yourself. You just lose track of time, painting, sewing, cooking, that kind of gardening, creative projects are amazing. And then the fifth one is to accept yourself. Accept that you are a certain way. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to improve. Of course you should, but you shouldn't love yourself on the condition that you reach a certain goal or something. You should always love yourself no matter where you are in life, and appreciate that you're striving for something, but still accept yourself because you're a good person. Why wouldn't you? The sixth one is to enjoy simple pleasures, such as going for a walk, enjoying nature, small details, enjoying the smell of your home, just small everyday things. If you can learn how to enjoy those, you'll have sources of enjoyment everywhere you go, basically. The seventh one is to gain knowledge and wisdom. And this is to stay current with the world, what's going on with you, keep reading, keep learning, keep trying to improve your skills. I think the saying goes something like, knowledge is the stuff that you know, and wisdom is knowing how to apply them and applying them in your life, or it goes something like that. And I think it was point 2, which were to work on your character. Here she lists out 10 things to do to work on your character, and that is to have self-control. It can also be seen as discipline. Then you should work on your unselfishness. There is charity, there is humility, responsibility, due diligence, doing what you do well, patience, moral courage, honesty, and chastity. Those are the things you suggest working on, and I cannot recommend this book too much. It's definitely my favorite book, and when I read it, I lined down everything, so if I want to reread a chapter, I could basically just read the stuff that I lined out to get the most important things from the chapter. So that is super important to work on your inner happiness, because the more inner happiness you have, your happiness, it is filled up from you. Other people, they can't really take it away because they didn't put it there. They can't affect you the same way because you are the one who are having the main effect on yourself. You are the one to make you happy. It's not other people are making you happy. You are the one to make you happy. So therefore, you are the source of your happiness. And since you know how to make yourself happy, you can keep on doing it and you'll pretty much stay pretty happy. I say all the time. I picked it up from my Russian boyfriends who very often talk about things that I actually don't know about. I love hearing about it when he explains it to me, but he will often say, and now inside I'm thinking like, no, I don't. Yeah. Another time where it's just better not to say something and like, and just keep listening and he will explain it to me eventually. Okay, now we are at the 5th layer of the cake. This video is probably extremely long, but it is a kind of complex topic and it is a very important topic. The 5th layer of the cake, it is to be the light for other people and to practice your femininity. And this means that when you're with other people, don't just be neutral. Don't just be the one to expect them to do things for you. You have to try for you to be the one who is the active one in your relationship with your family or your friends or your loved one. Try to be the one who brings out the good in people. Try to direct the things you're talking about onto something more positive, or practice your feminine skills of intuition and understanding if that's what they need. This has really gone from, having no emotional control to be the one who are setting the emotions for even other people. You are stepping up the layers. Instead of you not having control over your emotions, you can go so far that you are the one to positively influence other people's emotions. It's because, nowadays we only show emotions with emojis, so emotions. So now you have gone to the level where you are the one influencing other people's emotions to something positive. And that's gonna feel good to you, it's gonna feel good to them. And you know what? It's gonna be a whole more of a better situation that you're in, and you'll have less situations where you're actually being triggered emotionally. Some other things that you can definitely work on is patience. Things not going your way, it's okay. Some of the emotional things you should work on as well is the patience. Sometimes things, I'm repeating myself, sorry, but patience, sometimes things are not going the way you wanted them to go, but you know what? That might be for good reason. Or actually, why is it so bad that things aren't going the way you thought they would go? It's not really a problem. You will be all right. Sometimes it can help if you think of the worst case scenario and how you could best handle that worst case scenario. If you think the worst case scenario is that we wouldn't talk or see each other for half a year, how could I make the most out of that situation? And how would I handle myself to make myself happy in that situation? And you would see, I would actually be okay. So therefore, that's not so frightening to you anymore. So therefore, you don't react so much on that fear, for example. Another thing you should work on in regards to emotional control, that is humility. You have to realize, and this is again in relation to accepting other people, that you are not always right. You might think the situation is one way, but it doesn't need to be done in that way. I myself used to correct my girlfriends when we were cooking together on how they cut their onion. And very righteously, they would be kind of annoyed that I would correct such a small thing as cutting an onion, because my way was 20 seconds faster than their way, or just a little easier or safer. Because criticizing them, let's say it was -5 points in the whole us being together, having fun, but me not commenting it, there would be it wouldn't have made a difference how they cut the onions. It's not something you need to comment on. So sometimes you just need a little humility. You have to realize that your way, it's not always the best way, or that if you have to comment, if you have to criticize people for doing something, it might cost you more than what you actually win. That is another really important thing for emotional control. Your outburst might cost you more than what you actually win. And that is why you want to keep your emotions in check. That's why you want to keep that poker face on. Okay, I think my last point before I get to some personal juicy stories is this one. See yourself as the queen in your life. I shared a little bit about this on my Instagram at Living Free with Sophie. You could check it out. I share a lot from my everyday, I like to be a little bit silly. You'll get my first thoughts on some topics as well. Back to the topic, act like a queen. So imagine yourself as a queen, right? You're the queen. Your life is your people and it's your kingdom. You have to take care of it. If you have an adversary coming to attack you or hurt you or be snipey with you or anything like that, snipey, I think you know what I mean, they're trying to peck you down or something like that, you want to react like a queen. You want to stay calm. You want to show them they did not hit your weak spots. You want to show them that they did not hit your weak spots in your defense. You want to stay calm. You want to stay regal. How would you, if you were a queen of a country and 1 million people dependent on how you reacted to other people, how would you react? You would take that responsibility and you would carry it. Even me just talking about embodying a queen, I'm sitting like a queen, talking like a queen. Sticks and stone may hurt my bones, but words can never hurt me. You are the queen. The queen would never wage war against someone based on her emotions. That would be crazy. Tons of people would die. A queen, she would be smart about the remarks or anything like that. She would keep her dignity. Try to embody your queen. How would she react in different situations? How does she carry herself? She's probably very elegant. She's sophisticated. She's leaned back. She doesn't let anyone set her off course. If she is emotional, she will have a poker face. She will figure it out afterwards, find out what to do, but she would never make any rash decisions, which could cause, the people living in her kingdom their lives by going to war or anything like that. So that is a very great thing you can do, and it's also kind of fun, It's fun to imagine yourself like the queen. If I'm having a little bit of a day where I feel extra annoyed or sensitive, I will actually wear this headband because I feel a bit more like a queen when I do. Okay, let's get to the juicy stuff. I'm gonna tell you about some different types of situations where I personally had to practice emotional control. I'm also going to tell you about some experiences I have where other people did not practice emotional control, where they really kind of should have. That was not a fart, it was my stomach making a sound. Okay, I'm sure it will have picked it up, you mic. Oh well, this coffee is slightly lukewarm. Okay, let me spill the bean to you about my private, personal, emotional life. Get ready for it. So, you might know, if you have seen my update video, that I have a Russian boyfriend in Russia. I am not in Russia. I'm in North Germany at the moment. Otherwise, I live in Denmark. And this is, of course, a long-distance relationship. At this moment, we have had Corona for, March, April, May, June, beginning of July, 4.5 months. And yeah, of course, we have not seen each other in all that time. We have, of course, video calls and stuff. So the thing is, his job, it is extremely demanding, both physically and mentally. He really have to have his head in the game and has to physically be in the game as well to do his job well and to stay safe. So his job is very demanding, and the way they work in Russia is very long shifts. When he is on the days that he is working, we don't have a video call because he's basically working all day, and after that type of work he's extremely tired, and I'm okay with that. That's when I imply understanding or sympathetic understanding. Of course, I'm sure I wouldn't even be able to do that. I know I wouldn't be able to do that job. I would be so tired as well, so I don't have a problem with that at all. Some ladies might think that in a long-distance relationship, you should really video call every day for hours or something like that. That is not my opinion. I think that would be extremely demanding on the other person and probably on me when I have days where I'm really tired or something. And the case is that usually he works 2 days off, but lately he had 4 working days, then he was supposed to have 2 days off, and then 7 days in a row working. And then I expected him to call on the 2 days he supposedly had off, because that was something I wanted to talk about. I was getting, a little bit sensitive about us not seeing each other all the time. So every time he did something a little bit wrong, which was not much of the time, I would kind of be very nervous that this would be a common thing for our marriage or something like that. Or, that we were not good for each other or something. So us being apart for so long, it in a way made me insecure. But the thing is, even though I was feeling this way and would react a bit more to small stuff, I would of course try not to, but I could feel it, inside me, because you're still feeling the way that you kind of want to react. I did not react very much that way, but even though I might feel a fear that should it really be us? Is this going to happen? You know, stuff like that. I know logically it didn't make sense, because I know my boyfriend, he's the type of guy, he means what he says, he's follow through, like he's really considered what he wants for himself, what he wants in his life, our value match. If I ask myself if I trust him, I fully, completely trust him. I have no doubts that he will follow through. If the timing isn't what we first thought, that's okay. It's a couple of months of what's gonna be years, what's gonna be a lifetime of marriage together. So it's not really that important. So one specific example I want to tell you about, which I was like on my way to, it is that at the moment, I feel a little embarrassed sharing this, he does not really want to talk very much with me, because instead of having those 2 days off after the 4 days between the 7 days, these 2 days he was called to work. And I didn't know that, so he didn't call me on those days, and I was getting really annoyed about it, because there's some stuff I wanted to talk about regarding my insecurity. So instead I called my mom and talked about it, and I've been teaching her some of the stuff that I know works well for a relationship. Some of the things are amongst that: don't nag, it doesn't work. And this is again the thing I talked about. Does your action really bring you more than actually not doing the action? Do you really win from doing this action? And with nagging, even though you might want to achieve a thing, you actually, first of all, you do not achieve it, same as if you didn't say anything. But if you are nagging, you are actually hurting the other person. So you don't achieve it and you hurt them by nagging. And of course I wanted to nag and be like, why didn't you call me? You know, it's been so long, you know. But still, my mind, I knew that he's not the type of person who wouldn't call me, or, you know, like he has a good reason for not calling me. And I found out that he had been called into work, and that was why he couldn't talk. And then he did not have the 2 days break. So he's basically gonna work 2 weeks in a row with this very, very demanding job, both physically and mentally. And I really wanna talk with him and have him call me and that kind of stuff. That is my need. But if I think about it, but for me to have the need of us talking more, compared to him having a extremely demanding job, which is kind of a little bit dangerous as well. Or, you know, if they don't pay attention, something, you know, there can happen an accident or something like that. So they really have to be focused. So this is a case where I can show emotional control. I do not nag him about not having time to talk with me. I do not get mad at him for not having time to talk with me, even when he has a little break or something, because he just wants to relax in that break, recharge his energy, breathe out, not deal with anybody. And you know what? I can understand that. So I don't take it personal. I think he's already 2 times so far in these, 7 days so far, like a little bit more. He has like kind of apologized, hinted at he's just not in the state where he wants to talk with me right now very much. But he will get back to normal and he will deal with it, because I wanted him to take care of some things, or like think about some things where he has to make the decision on it regarding our future. But he's really just not in the state for that right now. And this is a chance for me to have emotional control, sympathetic understanding for him, and show him that that's okay. And this is the thing about the woman having the emotional responsibility for the people in her family, in her care. It's okay for him to have days where he is not his best. It doesn't mean that I should nag him or that I can't love him on these days. It means that I can give him what he needs, and what he needs right now is for me to step back. It's for me not to take it personally. It's for me to just be okay when he reach out, we have a little chat, a good time, and then be fine when he doesn't. And that's the one thing about understanding the other person. Then what I can do to understand myself is like, why am I so affected about this? Like the past couple of days been more affected. Why am I so affected by him not calling so much? I know I shouldn't reach out that much. And then I have to look at myself. Well, it's probably because I felt a bit stuck lately. If you have followed me on Instagram, you will know that I talked about being in a rut and coming out of a rut. So what can I do? First of all, I can make myself more happy doing the things that make me happy, such as making videos, talking with you lovely ladies. And I can look at why am I so sensitive to this at the moment? Well, I'm probably so sensitive to this at the moment because our plans are a little bit unsure, because this whole situation, you know, it's a bit difficult for us to see when we're gonna be together. I might be a little influenced or sensitive because I'm living with my grandparents. Honestly, you don't want to be living with your grandparents when you're 26, but on the other hand, it's super amazing for my finances not to pay rent. So I am, of course, very grateful, and it is a lovely area. You look at yourself at those things, and then I go into the layers and be like, okay, how can I bring joy to him when he actually does reach out to me? And that is to be sweet, be funny, be understanding, not to be in a bad mood, and definitely not nagging when he does reach out to me, even though he's extremely busy with the things he's up to. So I think that was a very good example of how I personally keep emotional control. In this specific situation, I will think about it, and I get this specific feeling where I get annoyed with the way that I want to react, or with the way that I'm feeling. If I get annoyed with the way that I'm feeling, for example, oh, I'm so upset he didn't call me, why doesn't he want to talk with me, or something like that. If I get annoyed with that feeling, if I'm kind of thinking to myself, come on, you know better than this. Don't be pathetic. Not that I say it in a mean way, but pathetic, it's such a great word to use for yourself to realize that what you're doing is not what you really want to be doing. So if I get that feeling where I'm annoyed also with how I'm feeling, that's kind of like my cue to that the thing I'm feeling is kind of illogical. I know better. I know what to do not to feel this way, and it has nothing to do with the other person. That's kind of what I do as well. Okay, I have some more examples to show with you, just some small stuff. So when I was back home in Denmark a few weeks ago, I was watching my niece, and she was allowed to get one ice cream for the day. And when we came back from a little walk watching cows, she came back, she asked my mother, her grandmother, if she could get an ice cream. And she was so cute when asking. She was just like the nicest way. She asked if she, so nice, so polite, if she could get an ice cream. And her mother had already told her, you can only get one ice cream. She's 2.5, very adorable toddler age. And my mother, of course, said yes, because she melted on the spot. So we went in, I showed her the ice cream, she could pick one. She did, and we sat outside and ate our ice creams. Part of my rut was me eating sugar. Also not good for my emotions. I'm just super sensitive to sugar. I think I mentioned it before in my channel. But we were sitting out there, and then on our way back in, because it was time for her to get a nap, my little sister comes out, and she's 20, so she's also an adult woman, very well on her way to be. She kind of scolded me a little bit, or criticized me for giving her an ice cream right before her nap. And at that moment I kind of thought, yeah, that probably wasn't the best. It was like a creamy ice cream, not a soda ice cream, so it did have a little bit of fat in it. It was not a huge ice cream. But yeah, I could kind of a little bit see it at that moment, that was maybe not the best idea. But at that moment, what could I do to change it? I was quite annoyed that my little sister would criticize me for such a thing, because I'm like, what can I do to change it? And she was saying it in a little bit of a, not in a sweet way, not in a bad way, but a little, yeah, not in the most the best way or something like that. So, but I didn't react to it, even though I kind of, wanted to defend myself, but I didn't need to react to it. I couldn't change it at that point. My little sister wasn't wrong in what she was saying. I don't think she should have criticized it. I think if she had practiced emotional control, she would probably not have mentioned it at that time. She would probably could have said something a little bit later on, because that was not the smartest move on my way. But if you have heard the way she said it, it was so cute when she asked for that ice cream. And she did actually went down on the nap very, very well. That was one example. Another example from the same day, which is a little bit more crazy, it's about my sister, who is the mother of my niece. She's a great mom. She's very outgoing. She's a good person, but I think she has some kind of trauma still affecting her, probably when our father died when we were still children. And I think it affects her in a way. So she has a very little emotional control with us, her siblings. Or it might be that she has very big emotions and can control some of it. Honestly, I don't quite know what is going on with her. I'm just going to use this example to show to you. So the thing is, I think my grandfather is talking to me through the door, even though I told him please not to bother me. This is also a thing where I need to practice emotional control, because he will come in and he will say things that you would only say to children and not to an adult who are responsible for their own life. But I know he does it with good intentions, so I'm kind of like, yes, I did call the blah 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 I wanted to call. He will check up on me on things that he honestly have no business checking up on, but he does it with good intentions. And I just don't get mad about it, even though inside I might get a little bit annoyed about it. There's no reason to show him, because he doesn't do it with bad intentions or anything. He was yelling through the door, kind of asking through the door, "Are you still going?" when he can kind of hear that I am still going. So another great example right there on camera. Back to the story with my sister. And it might also be a thing she has just with me, where she kind of have this thing where I have to do very little wrong in her eyes for her to be extremely annoyed by it. Even though I don't have those intentions, there might be some things that I don't think about sometimes. That's why I'm also working on improving myself. My mom was a single mom. Because my father died, she probably didn't have as much time as other families to spend with us. So I'm kind of in the process of teaching myself some things, as you know. Well, my sister, I came back from walking my niece, because you need to walk her in her stroller to make her fall asleep. And then I came back. Then I look at my phone and I have an angry message from her. Not super angry, but very annoyed from her, where it's kind of saying that, why aren't you picking up? Because she had called me, and is my daughter sleeping? What did she eat? What are you doing? Can you send me some pictures? Why don't you pick up? What's going on? I can't say it the way she wrote it, but it was more negative, more very obviously annoyed with you. How could you not pick up when I called? She got annoyed with me when I didn't pick up when she called. But actually, I did not even see that somebody was calling my phone, because I had put it away or I had it on silence so that I could pay attention to her daughter. No matter who would call me, right now I'm taking care of my niece. I'm watching my niece. We're playing, we're interacting, we're doing stuff together. I don't want to, just drop that and pick up my phone. And my sister has also in the past talked about how she doesn't want to be so much on her phone when she's with her daughter. So of course I try to copy that, because that is what the parent wish for their child. So that's really the guidelines that you should follow when you watch a child. But this is a great example where my sister did not hear from me while I was watching her child. Sometimes in the past I have sent pictures if I was watching her, but we didn't talk about that before her giving over her daughter to me, to my care, when she was going away. So we hadn't agreed on me actually sending her pictures. But this should be a situation where my sister should have practiced more emotional control. Because first of all, your emotions might get you nervous that you haven't heard anything from the person watching your child. That's completely okay emotion to get nervous about. But then your brain will tell you, well, I'm a smart, capable person. I don't leave my children with people who I don't think I can trust to take care of them, because if I had the feeling that I couldn't trust them, I wouldn't leave my child with them. That would be the first step of thinking. So you could send a text, hey, I haven't heard from you. Can you please give me an update on what you're doing? That would be a normal response. You could even go so far to probably thinking, oh, maybe Sophie know that I don't like so much phones around my daughter, and she's respecting that and paying attention to my daughter and watching her and having fun with her without actually using the phone. But instead of practicing emotional control, try to understand herself and try to understand the situation of why it was not going the way she wanted it to go. She just reacted. In her reacting that way, she, I don't take it super personally, because she kind of does this with a lot of small things, but it is exhausting. And we're now at that point where I have told her that if she cannot manage her need to criticize or voice her opinion on how I should change and stuff like that, that I'm just not gonna spend that much time with her. I hope it will change. I hope that she will learn to accept me. She has great emotional control with her daughters and understand their emotions very well. So I'm kind of puzzled of why she does react this way. But you can't really change other people. So this was a situation where my sister definitely should have practiced emotional control, because her responding the way she did, it knocked down our relationship just a tiny little bit. And I don't think she realizes that it does that. But it does, and after some more time together, would this happen more times, like the more you criticize another person, you will knock down your relationship until it's, I basically felt like there wasn't room for me in the relationship unless I was doing exactly what she wanted. Another example, again, it can be here with my grandparents. As I said, my grandfather, he sometimes will treat me like a child. He does it with good intentions to take care of me, but it can be extremely annoying. Like, he will tell me stuff like, you should put slippers on. How can you walk on the cold floor with just bare feet? When it is like the 5 minutes of the day where I did not put on slippers because I just needed fast to go to the bathroom and then go back into my room. Lots of small stuff where it's actually not his place to criticize me or to correct me or to act as if I'm not able to take care of these things myself. I get slightly annoyed, but that's just the emotion. It's not the truth, because he doesn't do it to be annoying. If I adjust my perspective and see that he actually does it to kind of be nice, kind of take care, it's just his perception of the world that he should help girls or what it can be, I just give him a smile and yes, or I'll remember next time. There's no need to take a discussion about it. It's not gonna help. And he has enough to deal with my grandmother. She's a little tiny depressive at the moment, so that is also rough enough for him to deal with, I would say. And that is very sad, actually. These were the things for my very, very long video on emotional control. Maybe I'll split it up somehow. Maybe I'll make new videos in the future where I'll get a little bit more structured. I tried to follow some bullet points on this topic, some stuff that I really wanted to convey to you. So I hope this video was helpful and useful for you. These are the things that work for me. The poker face, a little bit of acting in my youth was also very helpful, so you will actually learn to have control over your body and your expression so that you express what benefits you and the goals that you are going for, because that is what you want. Even you might want something right here now to express your emotions and just get it all out. But what you really want is probably a good relationship, no regrets when moving onwards, you need to react a different way to actually get to where you want to get. And you need to practice that. Another thing you can do is try to, if you're in an argument a little bit, try to see the situation, just observe it from third person. Like if you're talking with another person, then try to imagine you're a ghost watching it and just like watching it without emotion, just observing. That can also be a good tool to not be so much in your emotions. I hope I didn't make the video too long, but I feel like I did warn you. It is a complex topic. These are my thoughts about it. These are the things that helped me. If you have other things which helps you to remain in emotional control or in control of your emotion, what you show, how you work with them yourself, please put it in the comments down below. Yes, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions or wishes for videos for me to make about femininity and my special take on a topic on femininity, write it in the comments below. And if you're interested in seeing more from me on a daily basis, you should follow me on Instagram at Living Free with Sophie. I post content basically every day. You hear thoughts that I have on a specific topic. I like to give small tips. I like to show beautiful things, what I experience in my day. And I'll make it a bit more fun. You'll see a bit more of my quirky side on Instagram as well. So I hope I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. No, 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 no. And we got company from all the cute little birds. Why am my coffee yellow? It's because it's very fatty. Fat for my brain. Two. Come on. Okay, emotional control is super important, super important.